Hey, cool gamer. I'm just waiting for a sub, or actually a member of mine, Autistic Show. Should have probably messaged her first. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Deb. I've got paint all over my fingernails, my fingers, my shirt. Oh, yeah. My face. Hey, Zuna. And the reason being is because I'm painting that house that I showed you, Deb. I got it all put together, but now I'm painting it. So it's going to be white and blue. It's really cute. I need to get a new one once I'm done painting this one. Keeps me busy. Hey, Brittany. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this article until she comes on here. So this is the Winnipeg Sun for Canada. Native leader demands action on sex trade slayings. Catch this bastard. Whew. Native police should hunt serial killer, says Nelson. Move over, city cops. Native police should hunt serial killer, says Nelson. This is by a gentleman named Ross for the Winnipeg Sun. This was in 2007. So, a First Nation leader wants Aboriginal police to take over a search for a possible serial killer of Winnipeg Native women, charging Aboriginals can't wait for city cops to start caring about our people. The other one I did the other day, it's what was it, 2014 of Cody Lejbukov, and this is 2007. I don't know. It's like every year there's still all these missing Indigenous women and even men and unsolved murders, and yet nobody seems to want to do anything. I do not understand that. Oh, did you finish it today? You're looking for ideas? Hmm. I'm sure I'll come up with a few. A First Nation leader wants Aboriginal police to take over a search for a possible serial killer, and I just read that. Sorry. Brazil River Chief Terry Nelson said non-natives may see the move as taking the law into our own hands, but insists Winnipeg police alone can't be tasked with investigating the slayings and disappearances of Aboriginal women during the past several years. But they can't be tasked. Why? Why not? We could research more than what Winnipeg police can do. Nelson told Sun Media yesterday, I was pushed to have at least one Dakota uh, Ojibwe Tribal Council police officer dedicated solely to probing the slayings of 17-year-old Vanessa Bure and other Aboriginal women, not only those who worked in the Winnipeg sex trade. What are you doing, Kat? You're putting me online this other computer. What are you doing? Sorry. So I have to agree with this. I mean, why not just let the natives deal with their own? Give them the resources and let them look into it. They even just said, like, we could research more than what Winnipeg police can do. After making the suggestion yesterday in a letter to Grand Chief Morris of Manitoba's Southern Chiefs Organization, Nelson plans to press the issue at a September 20th meeting of DOTC leaders. In the letter, Nelson, a controversial chief who frequently makes headlines for clashes with governments, said a serial killer is preying on Winnipeg's Native women. And it states Aboriginal agencies must put together a real effort to catch this bastard soon. We need to do this ourselves, he wrote. I mean, I have to agree with them because it's nobody else seems to care but their own, you know what I'm saying? Aw, nobody was even there. I didn't even see it. I didn't get notified. Sex trade workers have speculated a serial killer could be behind the slayings of Brewery and several other women who have disappeared or been murdered over the years, including at least three other prostitutes who have been dumped in the area of Ritchie Street and Mullard Road. City police, however, say they have found no evidence to link those slayings. There are certain similarities, but at this point, the investigation is not pointing toward a serial killer, Constable Jackie Chaput said. The investigations have to be complete and thorough before we can even consider that they may be linked. Of course, they're linked. I mean, come on. City police, however, say they have found no evidence to link those slayings. There are certain similarities, but at this point, the investigation is not pointing toward a serial killer, Constable Jackie Chaput said. The investigations have to be complete and thorough before we even consider that they may be linked. Also added, Winnipeg police are willing to talk to the DOTC about its officers becoming involved, though she stressed any investigations they carry out should be done in conjunction with us. Shanna Capo could not be reached for comment. A provincial government spokesman said Justice Minister Dave Komiak will not comment, particularly because Nelson's effort doesn't involve a request to the province. Wow, look at this 20 sex trade workers killed. At least 20 sex trade workers have suffered violent deaths in or around Winnipeg since 1983. Charges have been laid in only two of them, while two appear accidental. These 16 remain unsolved. In 2007, August 30th, a decomposed body of Vanessa Lynn Brewery, 17, found in a field near Ritchie Street and Mullard Road. July 15th, Ainsley Aurora Kinch, 35, discovered in a field near Murray Road and McPhillip Street, not far from Brewers. April 19th, body of Crystal Shannon Saunders, 24, found in a ditch near St. Ambrose just weeks after her release on prostitution charges. So they're all prostitutes, they're all murdered, and they're all in the same district, and yet they're trying to tell me there's no link, and yet there's 20 victims here? Bullshit. 2005, May 9th, bloodied body of Tess Elm, 39, discovered in a dumpster near Stella Avenue and Salter Street. 2004, November 3rd, transgendered prostitute David Joseph Boulanger, also known as Divas B. Oh my gosh, found beaten to death in brush about 8 kilometers east of Portage La Prairie. 2003, October 2nd, Nicole Hands, 32, dies at Health Sciences Center after being found unconscious at her Mountain Avenue apartment. 2002, December 15th, Farina Silva, 35, found frozen in a field at Templeton Avenue and Ritchie Street. 2001, August 15th, Noreen Taylor, 32, died in hospital after falling out of a moving vehicle in Transcona. 1998, September 29th, Tanya Marsden, 18, found on the banks of Assiniboine River near the Perimeter Highway. March 20th, Jesus. Badly beaten body of Evelyn Stewart, 25, found in Point Douglas parking lot. 1994, March 17th, ice-coated body of Jamie McGuire found in a ditch near St. Francis Xavier. 1989, April 13th, Susan Hollands, 15. Oh my God, 15, found in a ditch near Headingley. 1988, May 23rd, Charlene Orshalack, 17, found in an abandoned cemetery near Matlock. 1987, December 5th, snowmobiler finds Cheryl Duck, 15 years old, frozen in Maples area field. 1984, August 6th, Constance Cameron's decomposed body found near Park Avenue of CNR line. In 1983, August 15th, decayed body of Mary Edith Banks, 18, found in field south of Hydro Building on Taylor Avenue. Holy cow. Hey, Dragon Mama. Oh, does it work good? I heard that it does. Yeah, absolutely, Deb. Absolutely. So this is the one that there's not too much knowledge. Oh, okay, I just read her name too. All right. I'll share this page. Susan Janine Hollins, 15 years old. This is the one that was found in the ditch, I believe. Born May 19th, 1993. Yeah, she's Indigenous. Murder time and place was April 12th, 1989. Higgins Avenue, Main Street, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Body found in Loudon Road, south of Wilkes Avenue. She's buried at St. Vital Cemetery in Winnipeg. Her background: Susan was a compassionate, artistic girl with a flair for poetry who loved the outdoors. She lived at the Knowles Youth Center. Susan was last seen getting into a car. Her body was found in a drainage ditch. 300 people attended her funeral. The case remains unsolved today. This is the girl that the person who's supposed to do this with me. I think she's basically though modding for another person. She actually knew her, went to school with her. There's her grave. 15. Oh my gosh. You're just doing housework? Yeah, my grandmother uses it too. Like even the soap bars, the body wash, moisturizers, everything. She swears by it. I use the body wash and I use the bar soaps. And I did use the facial there was like these throwaway face cloths that came with this one kit that I got, and I used to wash my face like every morning with them. Smelled nice, made my face feel very soft. Yeah, it's just another this is justice for Native people. Okay, and here's a clipping from there. It's Susan Hollins again, unsolved Manitoba murder from 1989. 15 years old. She was living in a youth center in Winnipeg. Um, So yeah, it just says that she was last seen getting in a car on Higgins Avenue and Main Street on April 12th, 1989. She was last known to be going swimming at a pool and a youth center. Staff reported her missing that evening. Tragically, Susan's body was discovered near Fort White in a drainage ditch on Loudon Road, south of Wilkes Avenue in Winnipeg. Susan was known to be involved in survival sex work at the time of her murder. Oh my, 15. I can't get over that. Where's her parents? I'm not blaming them. I just want to know, like, where the hell are they? 300 mourners attended her funeral. It says here if you have any information regarding the murder of Susan, you're encouraged to contact Manitoba Crime Stalkers. And here's the 100 tips number. Tribal information unknown law. The body slip was delish. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're too funny. Here's some websites that she had given me too. The Legacy of Hope Foundation says we are a national Indigenous charitable organization with the mandate to educate and create. That's nice to see in here. Our friends at Knockabout Media proudly present the story of a national crime. Peter Henderson Bryce was a medical doctor, so a civil servant, and a public health expert. In 1907, after surveying 35 residential schools, he submitted a report to the Department of Indian Affairs detailing clear connections between residential schools, tuberculosis, and high student mortality rates. Oh, I remember doing this on a live before. It was sad. It still is. His recommendations fell on deaf ears and would not be revealed publicly until he was forced to retire. 15 years after his initial report, he published an 18-page appeal for justice, a pamphlet containing his findings and recommendations, and condemning the government's lack of action to address illness and death in the residential school system and First Nation communities. Indigenous peoples continue to experience disproportionate impacts of tuberculosis for years to come. Eventual federal intervention involved a confusing web of enforced medical care, leaving survivors and patient families to seek answers and closure. 800 stories shared, 22 active exhibitions, and cities visited was 100. Sharing stories and educating Canadians. So since the year of 2000, we have worked with survivors, Indigenous communities, researchers, curators, and educators to develop educational resources to increase public awareness and knowledge of the history and effects of our residential school system and the ongoing experiences Indigenous people continue to face. Our project includes mobile exhibitions, websites, applications, publications, and several bilingual curriculums, including a program called Generations Lost, the residential school system in Canada. The true story of a national crime. What is that? Sorry, I'm just going through this. Is there one in Ontario? Oh, wow. Rabbit stew. Let's go and check this out. That scared me. Oh, wow. So it says here that this documentary briefly might will briefly include let's in way topics that may be difficult, such as essay, domestic violence, physical violence, discrimination, drug and alcohol abuse, and traumatic experiences witnessed in the residential school systems. However, they also contain stories of hope and healing. That's nice to see that they have this Legacy of Hope Foundation.
My name is Jessica Desmolin, and I am from pretty much all across Canada. I was born in Saskatoon, but I've lived in Ontario, I've lived in Saskatchewan, I've lived in BC, and I've lived in Alberta.
Hey,
Alberta is most
Teresa.
of my life. My reserve is in Thunder Bay, Ontario, so I like to claim that that's where my roots should be or where I am. I'm Bictagong Anishinaabe, and I am an artist. I've done being an artist for a little over 15 years. Kind of on the late side. I'm 44, so it took a while for me to find that. One of the reasons why I
Hey,
chose to be an
Sarah.
artist was because I was trying to reconnect with my own Indigenous side of my culture and my
She looks
identity.
so
And
young, eh?
then I also ride motorcycles. I've joined a motorcycle group uh, to help with that connection as well. The most
That's
important
awesome.
thing that I do right now feels like the motorcycle riding, the connection that I have with the men on this journey and with the women that I've come in contact with since this has brought me closer to my own Indigenous learning than the art has.
I know she's not here right now, Autistic Shell. She was going to do this with me. I think she's busy. I tried to contact her yesterday, but I didn't get a response. I honestly think she's busy as hell. And she's always modding for like she's a mod for everybody. So I'm assuming she's busy, which is fine. I'm gonna do this without her, and hopefully I make her proud. But she's the one that gave me all these links and all these foundations and whatnot. And it's nice to see because I am not Indigenous. So it's not like you have to be to know about these things, but it seems to be you would more than likely know more about these kind of foundations and what actually has happened and stuff like that, right? Um, I only know because I research a lot. I'll see something even pop up in my newsfeed on Google or wherever, and if it like interests me, I do a whole deep dive on it, and I want to know every single thing: who, what, where, when, how, why, and how about things. And that's what happened with these residential schools. When I seen that, well, sorry, actually, that was after before the first thing was the Highway of Tears. And then it was the residential schools. And I thought, oh my, I'm not gonna let this leap off my tongue ever. This is gonna be something I'm gonna continue to do to keep trying to help because this has got to stop.
The art was an original reach out for that, and it never gave me that connection
Hey,
that I
running
needed. It's a very
great.
isolated
Well,
world. It's very hard to get into being an artist
absolutely. I'll never
and
stop,
becoming
honey.
known and
Never.
all of that. But with the motorcycles, that camaraderie and that mentality and that group of individuals made it very easy to ask questions and to want to learn and to be safe asking those questions and not feeling like you should have known better or you didn't know enough. So that's it's kind of both right now. Red Spirit Women's Motorcycle Riding Club um, stands on the foundation of community, motorcycling, positivity, responsibility, fundraising, mutual support, and sisterhood. As an organization, we are conscious and caring for our families, our environment, and our communities. Our founding principles and values are based on Native American principles, but we favor no single race or ethnic group, and membership is open to every ethnicity. The race we represent is the great human race, all humanity. The foundation of this club is bringing
That's
together and
awesome.
unifying women in a larger collective voice and visibly to create opportunities for women to flourish, not just on motorcycles, but in the world at large.
I love that she's like this cute, young looking hard ass who rides a motorcycle. It's just, I don't know. I love I just love the way she speaks. I love the way she dresses. I just love everything about her. Um, it's very important. I absolutely agree. If there's anything that you know that you think I don't, please email me, contact me, let me know if you want to do a live with me or even just point me in a direction where there's something like this that needs more attention. Let me know. I'm willing to do it. Absolutely. Um, it needs to be said and done, you know what I mean? And you're right, nobody does this stuff anymore. Or at
So,
all.
a part of why I found them was because I think when you're on a motorcycle, it's a very powerful instrument. You feel empowered. I wanted to feel my own power. I don't ride on the back of somebody else's motorcycle. I cannot give that control to somebody else. I want to have control of
That's
myself, my
awesome.
future, how I want to be perceived even. So when I seen the Red Rum guys, I seen them pull up in a store in a Edmonton, and I was like, wow, they have that's an Indigenous symbol on their back. They have a chief on their back. They have the feathers, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. There was a black gentleman, there was a native gentleman, there was white gentleman. It was, and I was like, there's because when you see other MCs, a lot of them they're really dominated by their own race. Like you can see that there's no arguing that or no there's no reason to explain it even. But when I seen what they were doing, I was like, that's pretty impressive. So I looked them up, and then lo and behold, they have a sister club. And I was like, yes. I looked that up even further, and I was like, if I could be a part of
Hey, hi,
showing,
guy.
to me, it was I found my power, and I knew that I
Awesome.
wanted to share
We'll
that and
do it
show
then, Grey
other
Wolf.
young girls that it's okay to have their own power. That They don't need to depend on a
Mouse.
man to be on their own journey, that they can do it on their own. So that's why I chose to do it. And then when I got more into it, I found that there was a lot more to do with, there's a lot of people trying to find and connect with their own culture that have lost it. So
Yeah, that's the gist of it that I'm getting as well. What she's trying to say, and me, I'm a wimp. I would never ride a bike. I don't even think, no, I don't know. I'm paranoid about everything. So I would never ride one, but I understand the meaning of it. And you're right, riding a motorcycle allows you to become one with the road. The bike becomes an extension of you. Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? Maybe I'll get over my phobia and ride a bike one day.
and that was another, it was a bonus for me. It was a first finding out that I have sisters and that I can be a part of a group, and then finding out that I have brothers that also want me to be a part of a group, and we all
Wow.
want to learn, and we have been bringing in people to learn, and it's been amazing. So that's part of my why I've been joining it. For me personally, it's been helping my mental health and my own spirituality. Like, I did not identify as Indigenous until I was probably 25 or 26 years old. I even have friends that have talked to me from high school that were like, we knew you were, but we never said anything about it. Nobody said anything about it. We didn't talk about it. And I'm like, I knew I was too, but I had so many instances happen when I was young about like racism. When they see me with my dad was a white man, red hair, freckles. I got treated differently. When I was with my mother, who was very native, you can tell she's native, I got treated differently again. So this journey to, so that struggle was always in my head when I was younger. Always, I wanted.
I have a story. It just actually reminded me of something. Um, like how she said that she was being judged and stuff, like her father was a white man with freckles and her and her mom, you could tell that they were Indigenous, right? I remember being in high school and my best friend's sister was dating this guy, which happened to be part Indigenous. I can't even remember his name, but because of that, this high school, he wasn't even a bully, he was a monster. He actually followed this girl and her boyfriend, which was partially Indigenous. I don't know what percent because I didn't even know, you know what I mean? Like he just I don't I don't go around being like, "Oh, are you like 1% black? Are you 5% black? Or are you 100%, indigenous?" Like, I don't know, but somehow this asshole knew, and he was followed them as they're walking down the main street. I lived in a very, very small town at the time, like smaller than what I'm in now, and, he actually waited till they got in front of, Stedman's, which was a store with huge big glass windows, and he picked him up and threw him through the window because he was Indigenous. It was all over the news. He coulda killed that guy. I I don't even know, why he wasn't put in, like, a reform school or something. Um, I should see if I could find that article. I don't even know. It was bad. I was really young. Yes, it is a hate crime, absolutely. He did the same thing to a black high school student, and he broke his nose because he was black. Um, I'm surprised this piece of shit's not in jail. I need to look for that. Here, I'll let you guys listen. I'm gonna look for that.
To be native. I wanted to be like my mom. I love my mom,
Expose this piece of
but she
shit.
didn't have her culture either. So we were both in this. We know that people are being racist towards us. We know that we're being treated differently, but we didn't have the backing of our culture and the knowing to say, hey, it's okay. You can feel your way and I'll be okay about it because I know who I am. We didn't have that. So now, like I said, I was 25 when I identified as Indigenous, maybe even later, not really thinking about it. Now, it just doing the sage, just doing the smudging, just doing being a part of a pipe ceremony has brought so much healing, and like you can breathe, right? Like it's okay to feel the way I did. Now I know why it hurt so bad when I was treated differently. And I know now that I have uh, the ancestors. I know that it's there. I know that the spirituality is there. I know I have support. And I know even when I'm by myself, I know that I have my ancestors with me. So Well, I have a cousin that's in Ontario, and he, like, we all grew up the same way. Like, we all grew up away from our culture. We all grew up away from being to identify as this. Um, I guess that would become like that would be a part of that residential school repercussions, right? So us, we're the grandchildren of the repercussions. Like, my grandmother was in residential schools. She survived it. She, in the past 5 years, has been talking about it, and it's horrific. It's pretty horrific stuff. And then I've had also an auntie and uncle from residential school that they weren't in there long, but they were in there long enough to have the damage. So the repercussions of that is grandmother took them away from the reserve, and then she hated she was that one where they made her hate herself. They made her hate her own Indigenous. So they didn't practice
Oh
anything. They
my
didn't
God, it's
practice
so
smudging. They
sad.
didn't go to powwows. They didn't do any of that because she hated it. She hated that part of herself. They made her that
I'm
way.
gonna have to do
Then my
some
mother,
digging.
being kind of the black sheep of the family, same thing.
Hey,
The
RB.
Indigenous part was gone. She was a maniac, alcoholism. It was that was just the way it was. A
Yeah,
party. I
I
just
agree,
remember
Rain
everything
Grable.
was a party when we were younger, and it was always that way. And then my generation, me and my cousins, were all like, "Hang on, we don't have to be that way. We know that there's alcoholism and drug and alcohol abuse in the family. We know that's there. We decided we didn't want to have that. So
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with
in
you.
our way, us, like, I've been able to do more smudging, which brings my mom in, and she's doing more smudging. We've been doing beading. We found our beading. We taught ourselves, but we know that we've been
Oh, wow.
sharing that with everyone. Everyone's like, "Well, how did you learn how to bead?" Well, we had to teach ourselves. We didn't get that from our history, like from our culture. We had to teach it and learn it. But
Yeah, and they didn't get that from their culture because they were taken from their homes, put in residential schools, and were literally left to die. They were had that beaten out of them so they wouldn't learn. Like, that's some effed up crap right there. Like, I was seeing Dragon Mama writing about that bread. I want to try that. I would love to be like learn their cult. My son, I think he definitely is an old soul, but I'm wondering if his past life, like his interests are um like World War II memorabilia. I don't know why. He's obsessed with becoming like a soldier and fighting in a war and same with Indigenous, like the way they live. He plans on going out to a bush with his father with nothing but this snorkel water thing so that when you drink the lake water, it's not gross. And he says he's gonna make his own steak so he can catch fish. Like he's just one with nature. Uh, he's amazing. He really is.
by us doing that, everyone's like, "Oh," and then the conversation happens, and then we get to talk about why we didn't
Happy
know it
St. Patty's
before and why
Day.
we know it now, right? And then so that and then people are seeing us from the reserve. People are like, I've had people reach out. My mom's cousins were reaching out to me on Facebook asking how my mom was, and so she's gotten that connection back. So us doing what we're doing, and like the art and the beading and the social media has created a connection back to her, and people are reaching out to us asking us how we're doing, and then seeing our stories. And yeah, so kind of that. I remember because I never, like I said, I never
Yeah,
identified
like
as
how
Indigenous when I was young, right? One of the first interactions I remember, my school had young native dancers come. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. I remember seeing this guy's hair, and it was just so long and
so
shiny
colorful,
black
so
and
beautiful.
amazing. I was like, that's the most beautiful hair I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I've never seen, and it was long all the way down. And he was young, like my age. And they started singing and they started dancing, and I started just crying. I can't even help myself. I'm watching them and I'm happy, but tears are just flowing down my
I
face. And
remember
I'm like,
reading
oh
about
my God.
that.
And my friends are like, are you okay? And I'm like, you don't even know how like how my whole body, my heart, everything,
It's horrible.
but I didn't know why. I didn't know why. And then, but that was those same friends that were like, we knew you were native. We knew that, but we never talked about it, never said anything. Nobody asked me, and I never acted like what they thought, like it was just not there.
Like, I
And
don't even
then
know what that
so that was
is.
my
Some
first
sort of an instrument, but I
kind
don't
of
know what it is.
awakening of,
It's neat
I don't
looking.
have
Is it
this in
supposed
my
to be a
life,
drum,
right?
maybe?
And then there was another time I went to Head Smash and Buffalo Jump. And then, so me and a boyfriend went there, and he was taking me around. We were looking around the museum, thought it was pretty cool. And then this elderly man came, and he went because there was a teepee in the museum. And this is like I was like 17, maybe 17, so it's a long time ago. And then so there's this huge teepee, and this native gentleman comes, and he's all by himself, and there's a drum, and he starts singing on the drum. And I'm walking through,
So
and I
that
can
is the
hear him
drum.
singing, And I thought, well, that's just amazing. And I thought it was part of the museum, whatever was there. And I'm crying, going around, I'm crying, I'm looking at things and I'm crying. And my boyfriend at the time was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just don't worry about it. I can't even help myself. I could be talking and tears are coming out and
I'm doing
I
pretty
can't
good.
even
I
do
hope
nothing
you're
about it.
doing
Like there's nothing."
better,
And
Heavenly Cow.
then I go and see him and I meet this elderly man and he was happy to see me. And I said, "I'm sorry for crying. I don't even know what this is. I can't help myself." And he said it was okay. And he gave me a hug and he's like, "Don't worry about it." And then he left. And then when we were leaving, I was telling the museum people, I'm like, "That is the coolest thing that you guys have him
That's
come
a
in." And they're like,
hand
"No, he
drum.
just comes in and does it
Thank
whenever
you.
he wants. He just randomly, you're lucky you got to see him today because we haven't seen him for a while." I'm like, "Really?" So I got to be a part of that. And that was, yeah, another part of that, recognizing that it's not in my life at that time. And then it was, yeah. So then I was a lot of, from then, it was alcohol and
Really?
drugs. And I didn't.
See, that's what I was gonna say too. Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, Dragon Mama's very smart. She knows a lot more than like stuff that I wouldn't even think anybody would even know. Like, how the hell do you even know all this? If there's anything to do with like Britain or anything, like Jack the Ripper, anything, the way they talk, anything, I just go to Dragon Mama. She knows all of it. You think it's to open the spirit guides. That is really neat. And see, I would put my trust in them to be in that if they were like, I don't know why I'm picturing a circle or something, but be in their circle and yeah, to open up the spirit guides, I would trust them to do that with me there. Like I would feel so safe and comfortable and so curious. And it would be, I think, a positive experience. Were you really? I really hope that their lives are a hell of a lot better than what the other younger generation, sorry, the older generations had to go through. I bet they are, I would imagine. You were in the drums circle and you cried? I think I would too.
Give a shit about myself and didn't realize where's all this coming from, you know what I mean? And then I had kids and I was like, "Okay, smarten up. That I
Oh,
got to be
I
there
feel
for
so
them."
bad for her.
And I did. I chose them.
Good.
I've participated in, well, I've learned how to smudge properly. That's something that's only been, like, I've tried before and not really understood it and had that connection. And now I do. And now I understand it. Now I do it quite regularly when I feel down, when I get up and I want to bring that, my own personal way of connecting, right?
See, that's the stuff I want to know. I don't think you have to be indigenous or anything like that, do you? Like I want to learn their teachings, how they connect with just people and earth and nature because it's I'm not a religious person and I'm always thinking like this would be my go-to. I don't know.
And then
I could
the
roll
pipe
with it.
ceremony that was here, that was amazing. And yeah, I cried. I couldn't help it. I cried.
Spirit mass.
And it's not out of sadness,
Really?
it's out of happiness, definitely. Things that I want to learn and participate in is the powwows,
Oh, are you really?
the regalia, the learn more again about pipe ceremony, to participate in that, and a sweat is one of the things that I've never had the opportunity. People have said and invited, and but nobody's really
You you were in Jack the Ripper in the past life, is that wrong? Of course you were.
full on committed to that invitation, so I haven't had that opportunity yet. For me, it's because I'm still learning as well, and as I learn, I'm sharing, which is, I think, the only way. Knowledge is power. Everybody says that, but it's true. It can bring connection. It can cause conversations. It can create, uh, as long as there's no judgment, there's conversation that can be free. Like, because I know myself personally, I get scared to that I'm going to ask something and offend somebody, or I'm going to ask something and they're going to be like, "That's the stupidest question on the planet." Well, I'm going to ask it anyways. I'm at the age now where it's like, I don't care what you think about me personally. This is something that I need to know and I want to learn. So if you think it's a stupid question, I'm going to ask it still anyways, and I'm going to share that information because I know my children don't know it, and I know that my husband, he doesn't know it. You know, like my husband now doesn't know it. Even I have an ex mother-in-law who's a little bit on the. She's an old Ukrainian, so there's a lot of old racism in her heart that she doesn't know that she can let go, and she has since she's met me. So I know that non-indigenous people, even if they have that old racism and they don't even know it, a lot of them have no idea when they talk or the way they talk. It's not even something, it's so ingrained in them that they don't even know that they're being that way. And with us, even me just learning and sharing as kind as possible, as patient as possible, I know that chipping away that old hate that they have, that they don't even know that they have, is something that I get to participate with and do as I learn and as I grow. I hope to help the knowledge keepers, and I hope to help the people who want to share our culture open doorways. My ignorance can help them.
So is that okay? I've always heard, yeah, let's go for a powwow. We're just having a powwow. Is that where it came from? Because like to me, that's always I always thought it was just like a chit chat. Is that where that came from then? Is from Indigenous people? I didn't know that. And they're very, and it's probably not what well, what we white people would think or what we're calling a powwow. It was like, oh, we are just going for a chit chat, but obviously that's not what that is. I had a past life with my brother. Oh, really? I like this girl.
Navigate and how to talk to somebody else with ignorance. And ignorance isn't, I'm not saying it in a bad way, it's just because I don't have the knowledge. And them teaching me and people talking to me and me asking the stupid questions or whatever is helping them navigate to be able to talk to somebody who's non-Indigenous who does want to know and prepare. Hopefully my stupid questions can help them prepare for the
Did you
stupid
see what
questions that
she's
they're going to
wearing?
get. Like, because it's not, and I don't mean stupid, it's
My
if
camera's
you
not
want to
good.
know, but you, that hesitancy of asking and trying to
That's
figure out,
okay.
well, how's best to ask somebody who has all this knowledge, ask them to share that knowledge without
Damn.
offending them. Or, and I haven't come across that yet anyway, so I'm not even, it's something that, but that is something that I feel that I have that hindrance, and I know that the next person might have that hindrance. And when they see me and I'm asking the questions and I want to know, then hopefully they can see that in the next person that is asking the questions and wants to know, and knows that hopefully sharing with me will help them navigate an easier way to share with somebody else. The reason why I joined the riding club was because I didn't know how to participate in that, and I wanted to support it, and I wanted to show uh, people and create conversations and to bring awareness. But how do I do that? I'm not very outgoing. I might seem like I am, but I'm not.
Yeah,
And
power.
the motorcycle gives me the power, and the cut helps me with the power to know, like, I have support and I have people behind me to say, hey, it's okay.
Aw, I
I don't
really,
have
really like this
a
girl.
direct connection to any missing and murdered Indigenous women, but I can feel it. I can hear it. I can see it. I've maybe come close to having interactions when I was younger. A random stranger trying to give me a ride in an alley, which was like, to me, was boggling. But there's women that have done that, and I'm in those situations. It's like, how do I spread a conversation and create awareness and give young girls a power? Say, hey, you don't have to be in that situation. You can say no. It's fine. And the more I have this and people
Yeah,
seeing me with this, I know that I can help spread awareness and spread conversation. Somebody comes up to me and asks, "Oh, I love your stickers," and it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's what this is for. This is, we ride and we do peace and positivity, and we are there spreading a message. They see me on this ride, they see the ribbons. It's like, well, those are 73 names that I have from missing and murdered Indigenous women just in Canada, not North America, just in Canada, and that's not even. I could cover my whole bike in ribbons, and that's the conversation that I get to have with people because of where I'm at right now. That can help with that spreading awareness, and offering support to people who have had that in their lives. I've showed up to the MMIW march, and I got to tell them that I have no direct connection, but I feel all of it. I can see all of it. I have compassion for all of you in the best way that I tell them I will help spread the message. I'll keep the conversation going. And
it looks like there is something. That's her name, Jessica Desmoulins. I probably chopped her name there, but that's her name from the Legacy of Hope Foundation. Hopefully, there's something around me. Probably not in this town, but maybe I could start one in this town. Um, like another, I don't know, like part of the Legacy of Hope Foundation. Do something from here. I'd love to. I really would.
that's all that I can do, the best that I can do. So.
We honor you. That's amazing. There's more too. What? Where did, oh no, no, where no. What did I do? Oh, wow. Escaping residential schools. I'm not gonna say that because I'll botch it. Youth on reconciliation. Residential schools. Oh my gosh. I don't know. That would be heartbreaking. Do you guys want me to read some? I mean, they need to be told. Oh, is that it? So it says debuted in November 2015 at the Canadian Museum of Human Rights in Winnipeg. Forgotten is a modular exhibition that uses art, artifacts, poetry, images, and text to explore the experience of how do you pronounce that? Is it Metis? Metis? Children in residential schools, experiences that have been up until now largely lost and forgotten. This is why my son and I love going to the Ottawa Museum. I mean, all of this stuff is there, all of it. Uh, Everything and anything you would think of that has to do with Indigenous people, it's all there. So the exhibition explores their identity, cultural reclamation, and healing after their unique experience with an education system that sometimes saw them as too white or too Indian. How the hell can you be too white? What? Often move them to different schools away from their communities to keep school numbers and therefore payments to schools up. The in-between people have their own stories to tell about the residential school experience. Where's the stories? Here? Hey, taking. I love her. I want to talk to her. Like, I want to befriend that girl. I want to hang out with her. I knew a man that survived the residentials. Oh, wow. He lived to be 97. He lived next door to you. He was also in World War II. That would be my son's dream, would be have that man as his friend. My son's 12. He just turned 12, January 11th. You have an Indian carving on Rock Mountains? You love going out there. Yeah, don't touch. Yeah. And long hair is sacred and significant to us as an individual, family, and community, represents our cultural identity, helps boost belonging and pride. See, I knew it was for something. I just didn't know exactly what. And I'm not going to be ignorant and pretend I know. You know what I'm saying? So, how do you say that word? The MTIS? Is it Matisse? I know I'm probably butchering it. I'm good at that. Forgotten. Yeah, it just keeps bringing me to all these links, and there's a touring exhibition. Okay. Yeah, there's Orange Shirt Day. I do know about that. Me and Leland usually go and get him an orange shirt, like an orange t-shirt every year. Always. We are sorry. Do you guys want to watch these or is this gonna break us? Don't look at them all. It's their stories, exactly. It's their stories, it's their strength, and people need to hear these, not just turn their head. My grandmother on my father's side was a 1-year-old baby when her family, Cherokee Indians, were forced on the Trail of Tears and forced to walk from North Carolina to the new reservation. That is some bullshit. I hate that. What? That is crazy. So you don't, I'm sorry, I forgot what I asked you. Do you guys want to watch these or no? This is the survivors, escaping residential schools, running for their lives. Do you guys want to watch a couple of these or? Exactly. And then with the serial killers on the highway of tears, that's still going on. I still cannot believe, and I'm gonna say this every time Indigenous women and men are brought up. It will make you cry. Okay. Here, I'll find a happy one then. Like what they're doing. They have podcasts? Indigenous Roots and Hoots. What's that? On this week's episode, Roots and Hoots, host Gordon Spence is pleased to be joined by Steve Martin. Sit to What a Family Man. Documentary, True Speaking. There's basket making workshops. I want to make one. Oh wow, here's a Brenda McIntyre. She helps women manage grief, trauma, and chronic pain. Here's a mm. This one is to amplify the voices of Indigenous people across the country so that their spirit, their struggles, their hopes, and accomplishments can be known and honored. That is amazing. Okay, this is just a podcast. Okay. Orange Shirt Day. Can I play this? I just wanna see this.
So my name's Andrew Bomberry. I work at the Legacy of Hope Foundation as the curriculum developer and researcher at the Legacy of Hope Foundation. So this presentation is on behalf of the Legacy of Hope Foundation on Orange Shirt Day. I'm going to load up the PowerPoint and we will go in.
That's amazing. What?
All right, now presenting. And
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So hopefully everyone can see that.
I'm not gonna
You should
show
be seeing a
anything.
PowerPoint presentation at this point. If you are not seeing it, feel free to unmute yourself and tell
That's
me
gonna upset you
I'm not
guys.
seeing anything.
We're not
All
seeing
right.
anything.
You're not seeing it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, the
I
orange
saw
shirt
it.
day. So that's
You
You
saw
had it
it?
up.
pretty
Yeah,
neat.
you had it up.
Okay. The technical difficulties have begun. All right. We will edit this part for the final part. Okay. I'm going to try it again.
I'm gonna share these links.
Says I'm presenting. So, Orange Shirt Day by the Legacy of Hope Foundation. Oh. And let's see. It's,
Sorry, I'm
and
trying to make it
I'm
work.
going to do a little unpacking of the origins of Orange Shirt Day. The residential school system, what's that on the Truth and Reconciliation. So, and these resources are aimed at understanding and engaging with the topics of residential schools, 60 Scoop, and intergenerational impacts on First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. So as per our mandate, that's a lot of what we're trying to do is get that, improve that general education and awareness so that people have a better understanding of these issues and can engage more effectively on them. So as well, we have 20 exhibitions. These are museum-like experiences and interactive with Canadians. They're available to be mailed out to different schools, places of work, public places like city halls or whatnot. We'll get into more of these later, but exhibitions are another thing that we do that can be distributed for no charge so that people can really engage with these in dynamic resources and experience oral testimonies. So we also do training for educators and organizations for our workshops, again, focused on the topics that the LHF covers. So this would be anti-racist type work involving Indigenous peoples and working with Indigenous peoples and better understanding and educating about Indigenous peoples. We also do research. We are the inheritors of the Aboriginal Healing Foundation's research, and we do our own research projects. So the Aboriginal Healing Foundation was a very important organization focused on Indigenous health and
That's
healing
one
research,
of the links. This one
particularly in
for this
regards
one here,
to
the Legacy of Hope
the
Foundation.
trauma of residential schools, 60 Scoop. So they've done many research reports and publications, and they unfortunately had to close their doors. But we have carried on their research, and we have those documents available, and we carry on work as well in this issue. Not quite. And there's a parallel to the
That
Aboriginal Healing
sounds so
Foundation, but also
interesting. I'll
working
look
on
for it right now on Amazon.
trauma and promoting reconciliation. So this is our 20th anniversary this year. We have a number of free resources, including the Orange Shirt Day activity that we'll touch upon here today. We also have a Raven activity. And if you go to our website, you're going to actually find a lot of very useful and valuable resources on these topics that are free to use. We'll get into that more later on, but the LHF has a lot of really valuable curriculum resources to support teachers to enter these discussions and enter these topics in a culturally relevant and appropriate way. So we also have a new podcast series. It's called Indigenous Roots and Hoots. That's by my colleague. I have a bit of a brain stump there. We just spoke. Gordon Spence. He's a great guy, despite my brief mental lapse there. He's a really engaging and entertaining fellow. And in Indigenous Roots and Hoots, he's engaging in very interesting and relevant topics on these issues, but he's also bringing a lot of warmth and humor to the topic. So that podcast is also available on our website, and really recommend that you check it out. Gordon's great to listen to. He's a real hoot. All right. And as mentioned before, we have a lot of resources that are available, teaching bundles, curricula that's available on USBs, including Let the Truth Be Told and the Hope and Healing with the Timeline. So
Okay, it's just...
we have a lot of resources that are going to be very useful for teachers to use to engage on these topics. So we're going to get into all of that over the course of this presentation as well. So if you're watching this recorded, you can pause at any point and be able to access these different resources. So let's get them all up here on the screen. And so the first link, that's the general address. If you want to just jump straight to our educational resources, this is the second one. We have a lot of oral testimonies. We'll touch on this later on as well, but one of the major things that we offer at the LHF is a large collection of oral testimonies. These are very important resources because when you listen to oral testimonies, it centers Indigenous voices, not only Indigenous voices, but the very people who experienced residential schools and can speak on these experiences very directly and tell their own stories, so to speak. So when you listen to oral testimonies, it's a very different experience than you would get if you were to try to create something in a textbook. Instead, in these oral testimonies, you hear a lot more about the agencies of the students as they literally survive these experiences. And the oral testimonies highlight their resilience.
There we go. What is this one?
It's a good First Nation in Quebec, but I'm coming to you today as a guest here on Algonquin unceded territory in Ottawa, Canada. I'm the executive director of the Legacy of Hope Foundation, a national.
That's awesome. My son goes to Algonquin every single summer to that's where he wants to camp out in the bushes with nothing with his father because he literally wants to hunt and everything like you would as an Indigenous person. I don't know. He's so special.
Indigenous organization that works to raise awareness of the shared history of residential and day schools and other colonial acts of oppression in order to address discrimination and injustice and to foster hope and healing in Canada. I'm here to speak to you today about Confederation Park. Confederation Park is named for an event, Confederation, which was essentially the birth of Canada as a country, as people may now know it. But in order for Canada to come into being, the Indigenous peoples of the land would have had to cease to exist. And thankfully, that was not the case.
I put that book in my Amazon wish list, Running Grey Wolf. As soon as alls I put was Killers of, and all of a sudden it came right up, The Flower Moon. I'm like, holy cow. So I ordered the hardcover. It was the same price as the paperback. So I'm like, yeah, I like my hardcover book. So I'm gonna we should read I want to read that. We should definitely read that. It sounds really interesting.
Confederation and the creation of Canada, which is celebrated by some on July 1st, known as Canada Day, can also be seen as a celebration of colonialism and the attempted erasure of Indigenous peoples. Confederation
Oh.
Park is located on Elgin Street, which is named after Lord Elgin, the Governor General of Canada at the time. Lord Elgin supported the Bagot Report, which was one of the first in a series of policies designed to aggressively eliminate all that is Indigenous from our peoples. The Bagot Report specifically recommended that the day school system be replaced by the residential school system, so that by separating children from their parents, they could destroy the connection to family, the community, and to their nation. It was seen as a more effective way.
And she's talking about this very lightly, considering what actually, not saying that's not what happened. Yeah, that's what they said was going to happen, but that's not what happened. These children were ripped from when their parents, I mean, I just couldn't imagine. What do you do? You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd be fight. I'm sure all of them, especially the mothers, would be fighting back. Like, heck no, you're not taking my child or my children. No, you're not. What happens then if you try and fight back? Do they shoot you? I mean, for not like relinquishing your child? Like, this is crazy.
To eliminate our way of being and all that is Indigenous. In order to honor the survivors of residential schools and those who never made it home, we call upon Canadians, our
Wow. I'm so sorry. Sending good vibes her way. Well, I'm gonna order it, Running Grey Wolf, and then that'll be another book we'll do. You want to do it with me? I don't know, whenever I like doing things with people, especially if they know more than me, which you do, obviously, clearly. So, I mean, if I was to read it, that'd be great. You help the audience and help me with questions and stuff.
allies, to contact politicians at all levels of government, to urge them to build a permanent monument to remember the children that attended these schools,
Yeah.
so that we can let the truth be told and learn from past mistakes while addressing ongoing inequities and injustices in Canada. If we look backwards through the generational lens, 7 generations back from 2021, and we consider every generation to be approximately 25 years, it would be 1846. This means that 7 generations forward is about the year 2196. Between 1676 to 1763, treaties were made between Indigenous nations and the British and French. Then in 1763, we had the Royal Proclamation issued by British Crown King George III. And in 1867, Canada's Constitution set out in Section 9124 that the federal government had exclusive authority over Indians and lands reserved for Indians. And Sir John A. Macdonald became the first Prime Minister of Canada. From 1871 to 1921,
I had to do like a research project on Sir John A. Macdonald. Yeah, you both can. That'd be amazing. There you go, Zuna. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was you that wanted to know the author, wasn't it? I'm sorry. I will tell you. Yeah, I'll write it in this chat here. It's Stuart P. Evans and Keith Skinner. Forgot about that. So good thing I saw. Right. Mm. All right, there you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's why I'm just gonna type it. I'll put it in the chat because yeah, I would be like, huh? I have a Facebook, sent you a pic of Martina. She's been gone for 2 years now. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you. Oh yeah. So Sir John A. Macdonald. So I had to do like a research project on him. And what I learned about him was he actually went and visited in Athens on Mother Barnes Road. He went to go visit Mother Barnes, and she was a local witch. And I remember going into the house when I wasn't supposed to. It was actually cautioned off. And I ended up going in there anyways, and I saw his name written on the wall, and come to find out, so the witch, Mother Barnes, she used to do tarot readings for Sir John A. Macdonald and a lot of important people in the area. And he ended up writing his name on the wall to say that he was there. This was years and years and years ago. I mean, that was pretty neat, I thought.
There were 11 numbered treaties established, and in 1876, the Indian Act was passed. Then if we skip ahead a few years, in 1969, Canadian Prime Minister at the time was Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and he proposed the abolition of the Indian Act, known as the White Paper, but it was rejected. Not long afterward, Harold Cardinal, who was then the president of the Indian Association of Alberta, released the Red Paper, outlining an Indigenous vision for the future. In 1982, with the
I've done that. It's like I did because you say it so much, you're like blah, 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 blah.
passage of the Constitution Act, Canada legally became Canada as we now know it. And at the same time, treaty rights and Indigenous rights were recognized and affirmed in Section 35 of the Constitution. In 1996, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples released a report outlining many of the atrocities experienced by Indigenous peoples in Canada. This was later followed up by work by the Aboriginal Healing Foundation, the Legacy of Hope Foundation, and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and many other organizations, communities, and individuals who have been committed to exposing this history and to taking action that addresses the impacts on all 7 generations. What we do today matters. We are the descendants of all who came before us. What we do today matters, for we will be the ancestors our descendants look back to one day to discover who made up the society here in Canada and to learn about who we were as a nation. In 2196, when our descendants look back 7 generations, they will be looking back at us in 2021. What do we want to leave as a nation for our future generations? We are history in the making. What we do today matters. In Confederation Park, there's a national memorial to Indigenous veterans. Would it not be fitting to have a national memorial or monument and wall dedicated to residential school survivors and to telling the truth about what has happened and is happening in Canada? In order to honor the generations of survivors of residential schools and to tell the world about the policies, practices, and injustices in Canada, we call upon all of our people and our allies to contact politicians at all levels of government to urge them to build a permanent monument to remember the survivors and those who never made it home. The truth must be told publicly and available for all to acknowledge and read about. We know that many of Canada's policies were to eliminate Indigenous governments, Indigenous and treaty rights, and to initiate a process of systematic action that would forever alter our once vibrant, diverse, and complex societies, cultures, and governance structures, along with our spiritual ways of being as Indigenous peoples. The establishment and operation of residential and day schools and the subsequent 60 Scoop were all central elements of these policies, which now, with the recent discoveries of the mass unmarked graves, all located by residential schools, must now be accurately described. It's genocide. 7 generations of experience, trauma, and the injustices have continued past the closure of the last residential school in 1997. With these discoveries, the trauma is continuing, and now we are mourning together as a country. We call on all Canadians to stand in solidarity with us to reimagine a Canada where the truth is told and where we can work together to eliminate injustice and discrimination and to foster reconciliation in Canada. Ulalin, thank you.
I found it. I want to show you basically what I just told you about Mother Barnes, the Witch of Plum Hollow. This used to haunt me, and every kid that went to Athens High School in Ontario and public school actually. So I wanted to share this with you guys. So she was dubbed the Witch of Plum Hollow. So her name is Elizabeth Jane Barnes. She was born in Cork, Ireland, actually, and though the year of her birth isn't certain, ranging from 1744 to 1800. Her age at death is also uncertain, ranging from 90 to 93 years. Certainly, however, Mother Barnes was a remarkable woman. She is said to have been the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter. She rests in an unmarked grave in Sheldon's Corners, Ontario. At an early age, Elizabeth eloped with Sergeant Robert Harrison, and together they immigrated to Cobourg, Ontario. Sometime after the birth of a son, Sergeant Harrison died at an early age. There's the Witch of Plum Hollow. We got a whole statue for her. I remember, I can't even believe I went in there. Stupid on my part. Like, I went and had my leg in the window, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going in, going in, going in. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Frig that. I don't feel like getting, jinxed or something. But I did, and this you couldn't go up the stairs anymore. It was such an old, old, old place. Her little house. Elizabeth later married David Barnes as they settled near Plum Hollow, just north of Athens and south of Smith Falls, Ontario. Once a thriving agriculture center with a famous cheese factory. Plum Hollow today is sleepy crossroads, but in the mid 1800s, Plum Hollow was known throughout eastern North America as the home of the Witch of Plum Hollow. People traveled hundreds of miles and kilometers to consult Mother Barnes. They came to her simple one-room log cabin, still standing today. Sadly, the historic plaque on the site has been stolen. Yeah, it is too, because I never got to see that. So they would go to her log cabin to consult her. Mother Barnes was known to have solved mysteries, including a murder, and to have located a hidden treasure. Mother Barnes made no bones about her paranormal powers. She was the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter. She charged 25 cents for her services, but that was enough in those times to raise her 7 children, after her second husband left her to be a shoemaker in nearby Smith Falls. Mother Barnes became famous for telling fortunes, and her services were much in demand. One of her clients is reputed to have been Sir John A. Macdonald. Her reputation lives on today. Growing up nearby, I knew the story about the Witch of Plum Hollow, and that witch was a relative term. Even as a child, when I heard of the witch, I had no images of evil. Why? Well, in rural Ontario at least, the term witch had a few meanings. One invoked images of Salem, Massachusetts, not Salem, Ontario, which is about 50 kilometers northwest of Plum Hollow, the image of burning retribution. The other image was benevolent. Witching for water was a common practice, and fortune tellers were witches. Water witching was, and still is, a method of finding out or divining the location of underground water. The place to drill a well, it involves witching water with a willow wand. Well, this is stupid, but so which is which? It's Ooh, the comments. I'm related to the Barnes family. Your depiction of history is not what I've imagined or what I have in my genealogical files. If you're a serious writer, you require better resources and more, which I offer. Grateful you include her in this site. However, there's no mystery about her. It appears I am a descendant of David and Elizabeth. I would like to connect with you to share information. Please contact me. Why is this article using a picture of Roger? Okay. It is used as a depiction of water, which obviously rare were pictures of witches in 1700. I also know the secret of Mother Burns. I met Mother Burns and she predicted my future and I became rich. Uh-huh. How could you? This was in the 1700s. The Witch of Plum Hollow was neither a witch of evil or a witch of benevolent. To be accurate, I don't think she was a witch at all. She was but a great mind who solved these mysteries by, yeah, right. I remember trying to walk by, dared to walk by this girl's house. Hey, Chronic. Hey, Mama 3. So I remember we were kids, like in public school and stuff, and we're like, get dared to walk by her house. And this is where, her walls would bleed and the curtain would fly off as you would walk by in the upstairs window. And it was just like creepy, creepy. Every time I was there, it was just, it's history. It's a part of history, Fun times. Well, tomorrow I will be back at 7 p.m. I'll be reading Jack the Ripper. I think we're on chapter 6 right now. Yeah, the Bell Witch. I remember, oof, watching movies and reading articles, and yeah, that was a pretty scary one. All right, well, I should get off here. I know it's Saturday, but I've got a couple movies in my head now that I want to watch. Oh boy. That and of course I'm always hungry, so I feel like snacking. I feel like having deviled eggs with pickles on the side. Jack the Zipper. Hey Anna. You know, there's a show on ABC here. It's called Alaskan Sky, where Hilary Swank, which at the end tells you about a real woman who's fear. It's called Alaskan Sky. Awesome. She's a good actress too. I might watch that tonight. Oh, you can't eat eggs. It's good. I'm gonna watch it tonight then. I had a couple other ones in mind that I was kind of hemming and hawing about, like, man, I gotta watch both, but I think I might watch that one. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. I hope this was uh enlightening, at least. Would love to do more. So there's gonna be a book I'm gonna be reading and get some help from some of these wonderful ladies in my audience that know more about the well missing and murdered Indigenous women than I do. I don't think I've even barely scratched the surface. I mean, I just think we should do more lives on this. It's stuff that matters. And I don't know if you guys reread my new about section, but that's what I put. I wanted this channel to mean something, and I wanted to do stuff that matters. So that's my intention. All right, I'm gonna be quiet now, and I'm going to go make deviled eggs and eat pickles. All right, I'll be back tomorrow at 7 with Jack the Ripper. Not with him, but reading Jack the Ripper. All right, have a good night, guys. Bye.